Hello, Devlin Bishop here with you, and welcome to another edition of my pirate radio show. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing really good today, and looking forward to talking with you, and I have some topics that I was looking over my list of things I wanted to talk about in my segments today, and I realized it wasn't planned, but a lot of these topics could be kind of controversial. Maybe not controversial in like I'm going to be tackling huge, gigantic topics, but controversial in the fact that I may actually ruffle some feathers. But you know what? It's not going to stop me because, my whole purpose of doing this radio show was, to just basically talk about what I wanted to and what I feel like. And, well, if I ruffle some feathers, so be it. I guess I know some people will be like, that's what you're put on this earth for, that's what you're put on this, but you know me, I like to take things in a way. My first topic I was really concerned about, but it started out as a Facebook status that I never ever published, just because it just seemed like I couldn't get it into a small amount, and as much as I don't mind putting a paragraph in my status, this would have been like 2-3 paragraphs. So I decided maybe it would work better on my podcast. And, I'm honest. I have my viewers, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you. But I know a lot of people that know me don't listen to this, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. So maybe the place to put all my personal stuff is on my podcast. And then one day when they do get interested, I'll probably way be past this earth by that time. But when they do, they'll look back and say, wow, that was what was going through his head. But anyhow, I'm concerned about dealing with this because I want to get my point across in this in the clearest way possible. And every time I play this out in my head, I can't help but think, it sounds like the ramblings of a lunatic. So please bear with me, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. That's cool. Send me a note. Don't, stamp your feet and move on to the next segment, whatever the case is. But I'm going to just jump right into it right now, and if it sounds like a ramblings of a lunatic, so be it. This segment I've chosen to call, I Believe in God. I have always had somewhat of a relationship with God. Even when I was young, we were not forced to go to church in any way. I believe I was baptized Protestant, but my father and mother never pushed us to go there. My father, actually one of the things I really loved about my father is he was forced to go to Catholic school, Catholic church, and he probably would have enjoyed it, he said, but he hated that he was always pushed to it. And because of that, he just decided that he didn't want to go. And he decided one thing he knew when he raised kids was he wasn't going to push them to any forced religious beliefs. He believed that it was something that we should find ourselves. And I respect him for that. I think that is so amazing. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with raising your kids in, the faith you are. It seems logical. But if they get to the point where they question it or they want to try new things, and so I always respected that. And I did. When I was in about the 1990s, when I was in my 20s, I went through a really dark time. And I actually sought out religious institutions because I wanted to just see where my head was at. And, I go to, born again Christian centers. I read up on other religions. And what was funny about it is I eventually decided that I respected people's beliefs, but I never could commit to 100%. So I felt that I didn't want to be a hypocrite, so if I couldn't commit 100% to these religions, then I couldn't be it. Now, the funny thing through this search that I had when I was younger was I constantly talked to God. And I would chat with him. And I would, I sometimes cursed him out. I remember we were at, my brother and sister-in-law at the time they used to rent out this place where we'd have a New Year's party, and it was right on the lake. And I remember one New Year's Day that after the partying, everybody was still kind of waking up and stuff, and I went for a walk across to this lake. It was fairly mild, but I remember the wind was whipping, and I had a horrendous year. 95? I can't remember if that was a horrendous year, but I'm guessing it might have had a year with a 5 in it, and it was moving to a 6. And I remember actually standing on the rocks and, shaking my fist saying, why are you doing this to me? Why don't you just show me who you are and stuff? And it was a really monumental moment, and I constantly talk to God, and I pray. I don't pray every night, but sometimes when I'm a little blue, I will pray to Him. And one thing I have found in my prayers is I never ask for anything for myself. Even if I'm going through the hardest time, I never ask for Him to, help me out of this. I usually ask Him to help out my friends and family, to watch out over them. Because I would rather make sure they were okay instead of them. Anyhow, so I come to the terms that I have a relationship with God. I just don't follow any particular religion. I believe in God for, I don't know exactly the reason. I know there's no real evidence to say He's there. And I know the majority of my friends that I know are probably atheists or some form of that. Like they may have beliefs, but, just not, those ones. So I know when I say I believe in God, a lot of you are rolling your eyes or maybe just, oh, that's interesting, whatever the case. I kind of like the idea of one man creating me. I like the idea that I was made in His image, but He tweaks and puts details in everything. And, I just kind of really like that idea. And now I get to piss off all my Christian friends who've probably been like, yeah, he believes in God. But I know that what my lifestyle isn't a choice. I know what I feel. And I believe He did make me this way for a reason. And, let God judge me. If you're at home judging me now, you can, but don't, because God will judge me finally. And if I was wrong, well, He'll tell me when I get up there. But I want to just say that I like the idea of it because it's just I know who I am inside, and I know that He made me this way. And even though, diehard Catholics hate homosexuals, what I like is that I still exist to them. As in, they still go out of their way to hate me. No, I'm not happy about that in any way. I hate when I see, Catholics at, gay people's funerals with, signs saying, he's in hell right now and stuff. But you know what? That kind of just confirms to me that they know it's real. It's not just a choice. That they're worried that it might not be a choice. And to me, that's insecurities. But then again, I am real. They verify that I'm here because they hate me. Hate is as much a true feeling as love is. So they see me, whether they love me or not. Am I sounding like a lunatic yet? Okay. Now, I am not dumb. I know that there's no real proof that, people can show me, but there is proof. But no, there is no real proof there is a God. We put our faith into it. And my faith tells me that there is something bigger out there. And I do believe that it is something all-encompassing. Now, maybe my form of God is different than what other people see. But I still feel there's something there. And yes, I'm aware there is no evidence to prove that. Now here's where I get a bit controversial. There is evidence to prove evolution, and science, has facts. It's all based on facts. And yes, I totally believe we evolved. I believe we have a God, and I believe we've evolved. I, believe all that. There's evidence proving to it. Why wouldn't I? Anyhow, I remember when I was a kid, I got in trouble for asking a teacher who came in to talk to us about, Adam and Eve and stuff. And I said, well, is it far-fetched to say that Adam and Eve were cavemen? And he gave me the dirtiest look. And pretty much if, he had any connections to God, I think I would have been struck down. He had, with lightning, his eyes were just like, how dare you say that to me? But anyhow, science is there. It's fact. The dinosaurs, everything, evidence. It's got so much evidence. Okay. Now, now the atheists are cheering me on because it's like, yay, Darwin. I have a really weird version of what people do during my show. But anyhow, so I look at that and I can see that fact. And science to me is all about evolution and all about moving on and progressing and precreating, or I don't know the words, procreating and moving forward and reproducing. And here's why I put my faith in a God and being created by one man. Because in the world that we do have evidence to, science, fact, everything's about moving forward, everything's about creating, reproducing. It's in this world I am a mistake. It is in this world I am an abomination. Now, I'm sure I've angered many of you, but hopefully not. Listen to me out. This is all about, if science is the truth, and it's based totally on fact, then science is about either studying science to get it even more, or it's about reproducing. I don't study science. I don't go out and try to help the world. I don't try to discover cures for diseases. I don't try to, I'm not an archaeologist. I don't go to find more facts about science and stuff. And I'm a gay male, so I don't produce. I don't have kids. I won't have kids. So technically, why am I on this earth? See, in the scientific world, I'm useless. I'm absolutely useless. And in that world, I'm considered a mistake. Now, you can fight it all you want, but if you really think about it, it's true. I'm not using my mind to take further, okay? I am not, putting my cock into a pussy to make a baby. I can't believe I said that. Now I'm sounding like a lunatic. But in this world, if I put my faith totally in science, evolution, this is the world that tells me I'm not going anywhere. And so every morning when I go into Facebook and I see all my friends who are having kids and breeding, and I'm so happy for them, I realize that this is the way life has told us to be. We get married, we have kids, we set up shelter. You don't have to do it in that order anymore, but you know what I'm saying. And then the next process is the kids have the kids. The kids have the kids. I'm not doing that. So technically, I don't really do anything in the scientific world. Now, God created me. And yes, people hate me. And some people love me. And in that world, I exist. Because I can create art. But science isn't about us creating art. I know there's going to be some of you that are up in arms saying, but yes, science is art. But you know what? It really isn't. Art is a choice. Creating is a choice. But in the scientific world, I should be making babies or using my body and mind to be searching for more science, because that is what it's all about. I can't believe I'm actually talking about this, but over the last couple of weeks, I've really given this some strong thought, and I knew I needed to get it out. As you can see, there was no way I could get it into a 3-4 sentence status, so I'm glad I took the time here. I don't mean to enrage people in any way, but that's just the way I feel. I try not to do big things. I try to stay on the fence, but I honestly do believe in God, and I like the fact that I was created by Him. Yes, there's lots of arguments, pro and con, for both my ideas, but this is where my head is thinking now. And the world constantly reminds me, science is fact. And then when I look and see everybody having kids and stuff, I realize in the scientific world, I am an abomination. I feel more like a choice in the science world than I do in the God made me. Because I know in my head, and, then if I think of, well, maybe science made you homosexual, which, there's a lot of evidence. As I said, science kicks ass because it has so much evidence. And all the evidence I prove says, but again, I would rather think that I was created gay rather than, oh, well, your mom, you see, she produced 3 boys, 4 because I lost a brother early on. And she kept producing boys, and so that means that she had to produce more estrogen, and by the time I came along, I got so much estrogen in me that I, really had no fighting chance of being gay. I don't know, that just sounds like, well, it could be real, but at the same time, I'll be honest, most of the gay men I know are the youngest child in the family. And, it's weird that way, but I do know a couple, and most of them are the youngest members in the family, and some have come from a line of boys. But anyhow, I'm not a scientist. We've just proven that. And as for my love for God, it's something I don't talk about a lot. I'm not ashamed to. If people ask me point blank, I say yes. It's not something that I try to pound into people. I have nothing against atheists. I know, some people think that I like to put them down. I have nothing really against them. They do their thing, I do my thing. I sometimes make jokes that I think they're lazy because, I don't know, they just seem to take, you talk about sometimes born-again Christians. They just basically take whatever they want from Catholic lessons and make it their own and it's just kind of this is what I am. But atheists do the same thing. Why do atheists get married? Why do they celebrate Christmas? It's like, to me, yeah, I'm getting more and more controversial as I go, and luckily this segment's over soon. But I don't know. I respect anything you want to be, but please respect me. I am not going to hit you over the head like, please, believe in God. It's what you have to do. Maybe when I was younger, I was more like that, but now I realize everybody has their own faith. And I respect that, whether it's atheism, whether it's, you're Jewish, whether, whatever. I'm fine. You be good to me, I'll be good to you. And I needed to get off that my chest, because it's been in my head for a while now. And I am the kind of person that if something's mulling around in my head, it tells me it's time to get it out. And so there it is. I've laid it out. Let's move on. God help us. We'll move on to another controversial topic. I mentioned something a couple of weeks ago on my show, and I had a couple people question me on it, so I will deal with that next. Welcome back, and welcome to Devlin's Pirate Radio Show, the controversy episode. Okay, maybe not. We won't bill it as that. I refuse to. But some of the things I say, as I said, might ruffle some feathers today. This one I know will, because it already has. I had a couple people emailing me and question me on it. So I'm going to try to clear things up. Or make things worse. That's the wonderful thing about life. You just never know where your words are going to take you. A couple of weeks ago I talked about decluttering my life and making some decisions. Actually, I don't think it was the decluttering thing. But anyhow, on a past episode I mentioned that in 2016 I will be lying a little bit more. And I tried to explain it as I might not be as honest on Facebook as I have been in the past. anybody who knows me knows that I probably won't be able to carry that out in any aspect because that's just who I am. Anyhow, some people said that's horrible that you said, you're going to be lying on Facebook. And I think lying was too strong a word. I think the word I was looking for is maybe not being as truthful on Facebook. Some of you who are regular viewers to my Facebook account knows that sometimes every day I try to post a song of the day, and I might post some memes or some funny things, trailers. I like to keep, people up to date with people I think, are important that died. And then I'd always have a status, but you may notice that sometimes my statuses don't happen quite as often. Sometimes they do, and other times you'll just see that I've taken a little bit of a break. But I'm still on Facebook because I'm posting songs of the day. When I am taking a true break, you'll notice that I just go really quiet. But I'm still looking. Every day I still go and look. Even when I'm taking a break from Facebook, I basically put it up and see how long I can take on it. When I said I was lying, that was too harsh a word. I'm just not going to be as truthful because I realize now, over the last year, I have seen people's statuses, and some of them so enthusiastic and so positive, and I like to hear that. I love to hear that. But then when I actually talk to the people, I realize that their lives aren't as great as it seems, but they put those statuses up to make people feel like they are. And, to me, there was a time I would say, I don't like that. I like to be honest. I like to be truthful. I've had people tell me they like when I'm honest and truthful. But I've started to get it. I started to get it because it doesn't matter how honestly, how honest your status is. If you post, I'm really feeling not the best today, you will get a couple of supporters. You'll get people who might send you little notes and stuff. But overall, people will just avoid you. They'll just be like, oh, he's going through one of his blue periods again. And, I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of people who, if you just went by their Facebook statuses, you would think that they were in a great place. And then when they come talk to me, they're just like, to be honest with you, things haven't been going that great. I'm trying to stay positive for everybody else, but... And you know what I love about that? No, don't get me wrong. I don't love when my friends are in a bad place. I'm always a little shocked because I'm just like, wait a minute. What about all those posts, all those happy pictures of you and stuff? But what I like is that they want to be honest with me. And then we talk it out, and we can talk honestly. And as I get older, I need more people like that. But that doesn't mean everybody is going to be like that. A lot of people don't want them to know their business. And so they would rather post, pictures of, this is my dinner. Here's my family vacation. Look at me doing something awesome, look how awesome I am. Okay, that just kind of went off. And so, they might not be having a rough time of it, because I get that. Not everybody wants to read, oh, I'm so horrible, where are the razor blades? And some people just push them right away. It's amazing how many people pushed me away when I was going through that phase. And now, as I've been posting more positive stuff, a lot of those people are slowly coming back. And it's sad, yes, but it's reality. And I am happy I have not even just a handful, I have a fair amount of friends who are quite honest to me. Because I'll be honest with you, I can do the small talk, but as I get older, it's harder. Small talk to me is what I should be doing with my customers or maybe some of the employees I work with at my job at Value Village. Talk about the weather, talk about, savings, talk about this and that, But every once in a while, even at work, I'll have a moment. And, we don't talk a lot on the floor or stuff, but we just will have a moment, like a minute or two of just pure honesty, and I love it. It just turns me right on. But when I said I'm going to start lying is because I'm starting to think that because my first reaction when I get into a bad mood or I'm upset or something, I want to type exactly what I'm feeling. And then what happens is, one, either people take it the wrong way and they post things that just anger me more because it's just like they have to post, and they offer me solutions to things that don't even make sense to what I posted. I'm honored that they do take the time, don't get me wrong. But it does usually enrage me more when, I post something and then somebody posts something that, to me, they're doing it as a positive thing, but a lot of times it comes off as a slap in the face. As in, well, this is how you should be thinking. It's like, oh, telling me my own feelings. Yeah, that's great. Okay, if you're somebody who's in my life 24/7, that's good. But if you're just judging me on my Facebook status, don't. Because there's a lot more to me than that. And I'll try not to judge you through your Facebook statuses. So, yeah, I want to be able to put those. But the other thing that happens is sometimes I'll put them, and I want to hear from certain people, and I don't hear from them. Nothing. And that just makes me more pissed off and angry, and then I sleep on it, and then I think I shouldn't have posted that. I feel like an idiot. Then I see like other people have worse things going on in their lives. And then I try not to judge because of the fact that, oh, well, God, look, they're going through that. But that doesn't mean my opinions. I know a lot of people say in the world that, there's always somebody worse off. And I thought, yeah, that's not great information. That's just like, okay, well, I'll just push off my problems, because in history we have seen that always works. When you push your own problems off, usually the problems get worse. I'd love to be able to just sit back and say, oh God, I'm having a bad day, but oh, thank God I don't have cancer, or thank God I'm not going through what that person's going through. No, I feel for the people that are going through all those, but that doesn't mean my problems aren't important. I hate when people just push off your problems like, oh God, they're nothing. Now, unless my problem is totally like selfish, like, like if I'm complaining because I didn't save $1, like, oh my God, that was on sale, I bought that yesterday and now it's on sale for $1 less. I am going to raise some stink up with the management of this establishment. That's their first world problems. And that kind of stuff is icky. But if I'm feeling downright thing, but I'm going to tell untruths now because I don't want people to worry about me. I have learned my lesson the hard way, that, people read either more into what you're going through or less into what you're going through. And yes, but they don't try to find out about it. They just assume the worst or the best. He'll get through it. He'll get through it. He's been through it before. I won't have to connect with him. Or, it's the other way around. It's like, well, we have been very concerned for you. We think you should get mental health. Yeah, maybe I should. But right now, I don't feel that's my best place. And you don't know me enough for that. Now I'm starting to ramble like a lunatic. I feel it now. I totally feel it now. But anyhow, so what I meant by saying I was going to lie more, that doesn't mean I'm going to lie to people. This just means, like, if I'm on a one-on-one conversation with you, I've had many of them with several of you, and probably some of you listeners too, and you know that I'm really real. I put my foot in my mouth, and I apologize for it, or I don't apologize for it because I still believe it. I say comments that could be taken racist or sexist or anything, and hopefully I don't mean it that way. It's just the way I was brought up, and I'm not trying to be racist or sexist. It's just sometimes I look at things in a different way, and I have to shake my head at the world because I can't understand this politically correct society. So when I say I'm going to be less truthful, it means that if I'm in a bad way, I might take a couple of breaths before I post something on Facebook. Or I might try to put a positive spin on it. I might be at home banging my head against the wall, going nuts. Mike's like trying everything he can, but there's just nothing getting through to me. And instead of sitting down and rambling something where all of you are thinking, should we call the suicide hotline for him? I am going to basically put something positive like, oh, I could really use a hug right now. Wish you were here. Something positive, because that'd be positive to be near somebody, Anyhow, so that's what I meant. I don't mean I'm going to start lying to people. I'm also, sadly to say, I had a lot of friendships where I think I told you, not a lot. I had a couple that I actually started that was based on being real. But I'm even holding back on that a bit because things have happened in the past that have made me say, I don't think I can be as real to these people. Then I've had some relationships in the last little while that we were really close, and now I don't even know how to deal with these people anymore because they read me so wrong. To the point where I'm just like kind of avoiding the situation right now. And that's a sad thing to do because I want to be more real. And I want to find relationships that are real. I don't want things based on phoniness. I hate when I have to I don't hate it. Because sometimes I like spending time with people and just being like everybody else. I don't have to be real 24/7 all the time. I find people who are real that way are, can get grinding on your thing. They're just sarcastic. They're just, say everything that's in their head, and we honestly don't need that. I bite my tongue so many times, I'm surprised my tongue is still in my head when I'm out and about with people, just because, I'm pretty good at reading how far I can go. But as I said last year, I thought I was too, but I always have to reel it in now. And I want more friends where I can just kind of be real. And I realize that Facebook is not the place to meet these people, but it's a great place to connect. I've already shared my feelings on how much I love it and that. So I'm going to keep things positive, and I'm going to keep things, more thing. I still, me, I'm going to fall off the wagon, fall off the emotional wagon, and I'm going to post, not feeling the best today, or play a song of the day that's just so depressing that, Most of the songs of the day I play just because they're in my head and I want people to share them. But there are times where if I write a nice story about it, there's probably a reason I would like somebody to take the chance to listen to it, Anyhow, so when I say lying, I kind of meant not being as truthful, as in I'm not going to post everything that's going through my head. Because I did that at the start of 2015, and it got me a big fat nothing. I shouldn't say a big fat nothing. I did get close with some people that I didn't even know even read my Facebook. And that is a blessing. So, I'm going to fall off the wagon, but... And I don't want you to think that whenever you see a happy status, that that's going to be me. Because I will not lie. I'm not going to just, be, hey, everything's going honky-dory for me today. And then, I say it sarcastic in my head, but nobody else will know. I will never lie. I just will either not post anything, or, as I said, I might find a positive spin on it, which is how I'm trying to live my life on everything. I'm trying to find the positive in everything. And trust me, the world isn't that easy to do that with. So, whether you want to say that as me being less truthful or lying, that's what it is. But I don't want to say that I'm out and out lying. That was a little over the top when I said it, but I hope I have sorted myself out enough. Anyhow, we're going to take a short break. I'm almost done with this. This is exhausting, being this truthful and controversial and all. So let's go for 3 for 3. I am now going to do a topic that's always been in my head, and why not add it to this show? I'm going to take a look at movies the world loves, but me. And, yeah, we'll get to that right after this. Hello, I am back, and, I am Devlin. Still. Anyhow, we're continuing with topics that may ruffle feathers today. I'm probably overreacting. Maybe I need to ruffle some more feathers on my show. You know, maybe I need that. Anyhow, I've got 5 movies listed in front of me that the world loves, but me. Now, let me explain this thing first. Now, I'm not saying everybody loves these movies, but going by Rotten Tomatoes, going by when they first came out, these movies are absolutely loved by everyone. And again, I'm going to have the ramblings of a lunatic. Maybe we'll call this the ramblings of a lunatic episode, because I keep bringing that up. But anyhow, these were movies that people absolutely adored and fell in love with, but me. Now, in some of these cases, I did not like the movie. I just only kind of liked the movie. And some of these movies I didn't really like at all. But I'm going to explain to people why I don't love them as much as they do, because some of these movies baffle me at how awesome they are. Now, when I say that, if you bring up one of these movies to me, I tend to just get quiet. I respect that you people like these movies. And if there are any of you that don't, and I've only met a few who agree with me on this, power to you. As for the rest of you, don't hate me too much. Let's start big. And we'll start with a movie that I didn't hate. And first of all, hate is, I'm trying to get rid of that word out of my complex. Because even a movie I dislike, I can find good traits in it. In all these movies, I can find things that were good in them. But let's start with one of the biggest movies of all time, Titanic. People love this movie. I can already see a couple of you were like, oh, well, don't touch that. I fell in love with that movie. I fell in love with someone during that movie. This is the thing that bothers me about this movie. Now, I do like Titanic. I like it way in the bottom realms. I remember when I first saw Titanic, it was within the first week where everybody was like, you gotta see Titanic. And I remember my brother and sister-in-law took me, and they were just in love with this movie. My sister-in-law especially. So if she's listening, I apologize ahead of time to her. But anyhow, when we came out of the movie, I said, that movie's probably going to win Best Picture. And I say, I'm pretty much guaranteeing it is. And I remember my sister-in-law saying, yeah, I know, it's that good. And I said, well, no, not really. But this is the kind of thing that the Oscars seem to love. You know, they go through phases, and they hadn't had a big epic film, you know, with a historical aspect to it. And so that's why I thought they'd like it. I personally thought there were better movies that year. Good Will Hunting, but we won't go on, because that's a whole different other thing. Anyhow, I liked a lot of Titanic. I thought James Cameron did a lot of good with it. Other stuff I thought was just absolutely laughable. And as a filmmaker, he should have been also put down for a couple of weak spots. The laughable parts to me is, I know people were endeared by it, but I really don't think you bring a 100-year-old woman out to a boat. I just think there's just so, you know, it's one thing if it was just like a little boat, you know, like I'm not saying at 100 you've ended your life, but you know, if you brought them on a little yacht or something, but when you like bring them on a helicopter to a ship in the, you know, I just found that a little bit hokey. The problems I had with it are the love story. I think Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet were absolutely great, but I really never felt the spark between them. And one of the problems I had was that I felt that they even realized they didn't have a solid love story, because I always was bothered by the Billy Zane character, because at the beginning of the film, he's actually doing everything he can to make Rose just have a great time. You know, it's made clear, obviously, that this was an arranged marriage and he's going to help them with their fortunes and their financial troubles. And he does everything to make her happy, and she's just this total cow about how, yes, I've agreed to this marriage, but I refuse to, treat you like a human being. And just an absolute bitch. But what makes it worse is he seems like a nice guy that's just doing his thing. But as the story goes, it seems they have to write the character worse and worse because we need to fall for Jack and Rose. Okay? And I find that triangles like that, where you suddenly have to make the one character the biggest asshole in the history of movies. Like, at one point, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, he's literally running after them with a gun, shooting at them. Like, in the middle of all this thing where the boat's sinking. It's like, come on. We get it. You aren't sold that Jack and Rose might be a solid relationship, so we have to make this. I kind of like triangles, like where the third person is still likable. Like, yes, I enjoy three, triangles where there's an asshole in the group, but usually the asshole's established as an asshole immediately. In Titanic, if you watch that, Billy Zane tries so hard to just make the best of things. I also didn't like that James Cameron, I didn't know much about Titanic when I went in to see it, and my favorite bits of Titanic are like seeing the boat and all the stuff it did, and I liked seeing like the old couple deciding not to go on ship and dying together. It was those moments that I actually really liked Titanic for, because I thought, where are those stories? Those are the ones I want to see. That seems like a real love story to me. And then I hated the fact that before the ship even sinks, they actually show you through computer graphics how it's going to happen. Like, oh, now this is going to go up and this is going to be in the... So, even before it happened, you've taken away the suspense for us, unintelligent people who didn't know how the Titanic went down. And all I'll say else on that movie is there was plenty of room for him to get on, but she didn't move her fat ass over in order to let him get on. So, what kind of love is that? Anyhow, moving on. Let's go to another big one. This is one that, drives me crazy. But people love it, and I respect that you all love it. The Matrix. Groundbreaking. This is going to change movie making forever. I remember hearing critics and fans say this, and after I saw it, I said, oh my God, I hope not. My biggest problem with The Matrix, first of all, the fact that I found it to be a really bland story, is that even when the action sequence happened and they were so exciting, again, a spoiler here, you're going to get spoilers in this one, but the spoiler here is that we find out later that the action sequences aren't really real. We're just plugged in, and this world is just like a video game we're playing. And I could see how the video game age embraced this, and all the, the computer nerds out there dreamed that they were going to be Neo. I'm the chosen one. But it was just like so... I don't like action movies where I find out later that it was just basically all in our minds and we were just playing a video game. That's what it felt like to me. You can sit and analyze what you want. I've always said that I might give this movie another chance. I might actually give it another viewing. But it just... there was so much about it that just drove me nuts. And I'm hit and miss with Keanu Reeves. He's given us some awesome movies. Speed. Please see John Wick. John Wick to me is miles ahead of The Matrix. And now another thing people always tell me about The Matrix when I tell them I didn't like it, what about those special effects? What about those awesome, we've never seen them before special effects? Well, yeah, we have seen them before. The whole moving and then stopping and then the camera turning, that was done in Lost in Space prior to that movie. And we also saw it in Gap commercials where they did swing dancing, where they literally stopped the film, rotated it, and continued the action. So when I saw that on the big screen, yeah, it looked cool, but it wasn't new, it wasn't fresh, it had been done by the Gap, for Christ's sakes. Moving on. Oh, let's move to this one. I love talking about this one. True Lies. Now, this was a really big hit. Some of you may have forgotten it because it's went past several decades. But this is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. And it turns out that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a spy. He's not the businessman his wife thought. And he turns out to be this high-tech spy. And this movie became famous, one, because it was a comedy, and I think people really enjoyed it, because Arnie's comedies seem to do better than Stallone's. And two, because of the famous Jamie Lee Curtis strip scene, where women embraced her at that age, you know, like her sexuality. Look at her embracing her sexuality. The biggest problem I had with True Lies, and this is a movie I actually saw, I'm going to say, 4 times. I saw it once in the theater, twice at the drive-in because it was always the second feature with something, and then I saw it on TV again. And this is a movie I don't like. Like The Matrix, this isn't like this is in the I really don't like this movie. And I can't believe I actually saw it 4 times. Anyhow, my biggest problem with this was I never understood why women embraced this movie. I understand the scene where she's like doing her strip dance is like her taking power. But have you forgotten everything else? Here's some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger pretends to be a businessman. And one of the things I found endearing about the movie was that Jamie Lee Curtis thinks that he might be losing interest in her, or he might be having an affair. She doesn't understand that he's a spy. So I think Jamie Lee Curtis does a great performance because her character comes close to having an affair. And you can tell she's so torn because she still loves her husband, but she doesn't know if there's anything there. And you can see in her performance that this is not an easy choice for her. But you slowly start seeing that she thinks she wants to feel loved again. And how does Arnold Schwarzenegger respond to this? He has her kidnapped when he finds out this is about to happen, and he terrorizes her. He actually ties her to a chair and uses a fake voice and identity to tell her that she has to go to this hotel room to meet him. Now, it's an elaborate thing, but she does not know this is her husband. She has been kidnapped. She has been put through trauma. And yet this movie is looked upon as such a feminist film. He literally suspects her of cheating, and he goes through this big elaborate sequence, including forcing her to strip in this hotel room where then he's going to expose that it's him. And women were endeared by this. How can I respect feminism when this is a movie that people look to as, oh, the empowerment, when all I can think about is how an asshole Arnold Schwarzenegger is, his character, not him, for putting his wife through this after we see how hard it was for her to make this decision. I thought it was so sad, and this is the time I stood up for feminism, and I said, I'm going to stand up for all you women who should have. Because, quite frankly, this is not right. Back to science fiction, although True Lies had some action science-y fiction type stuff in it. Another movie that is regaled as a huge sci-fi classic, and I will agree with you. I absolutely adored this movie until about the third act, maybe starting halfway through the second act. A little movie called District 9. It came out probably about a decade or so ago, and Neil Blomkamp put it together. And it was revered as the best new science fiction. I had to go see it. I wanted to see it. I went, and I swear if I walked out of the theater about halfway through, I would have came out raving about this movie like everything else. But what happened was it, to me, seemed to lose its momentum. The movie kind of starts almost like a documentary reality show style. And I kind of liked it because I got engaged with the characters, and then I just found myself getting lost in this world and wanting to learn more. And then I've never seen a movie unravel so much, because it soon becomes just a chase movie. It just becomes like a typical action film, and it's almost like they lost the way they filmed it. And halfway through, it's like another director came in and just took it and, we need more action, we need more of this. And so, yes, I agree that there are parts in this that are absolutely incredible. But it's all the other stuff that really kind of bothers me in this. Because I've never seen a movie unravel before. You know, a lot of people put down Terminator 3 because of the fact that it's just a chase sequence. And I agree. But what I always said about Terminator 3 is that it's just a chase movie. There's nothing special about it at all. But they basically get the movie back to where it should be. And that goes to another movie I've got, which I'm going to add, which means there's going to be 6 now I'm talking about, and that is the Terminator 2. Another movie that people raved about. I like it. Don't get me wrong, I do like this movie, but I love the first one. And big spoiler coming up here if you haven't seen it. This movie erases the first movie. And another reason I don't like the Terminator Judgment Day is I really did not like Edward Furlong's performance. I really don't like that Arnold, because I don't know if he just didn't want to play bad guys anymore. I liked him being the bad guy, and just because they rewired him, because now I have a franchise now, so I can't play the bad guy. Why not? Why not let him stay in the franchise playing the bad guy? No, we have to rewire him and turn him into a good guy. And I don't think it worked. I think it didn't erase. I still love the first Terminator. I think that's one of my favorite movies, sci-fi films of all time. I love it. The second movie did not bastardize that first one, but the movie in itself, at the end, wipes out the whole first movie. What I give credit for the third one, and in no way am I saying the third one is a superior film, in no way, but I do give it credit for one thing. The third movie brings us back to an ending that makes the first one return back to existence. Watch the trilogy. You'll know what I mean. Another thing about Terminator 2 Judgment Day I didn't like was everybody raves about the effects in this. Again, we saw this. James Cameron showed us the same things in The Abyss. He didn't take it to the levels that were, but I was intrigued by The Abyss and the water face and stuff like that, which is basically the same stuff that people were raving about, a year or two later when he used it in Judgment Day. Well, if you went to see The Abyss, you would have seen this technology already being in use. Finally, we're going to wrap up with a fairly new movie. And again, I didn't hate this movie. I don't want you to think I went on hating it. It's just I don't understand how people have embraced this movie so much. And yeah, I'm going to probably get the most controversy for this one. So let's get right to it. Inside Out. I liked the movie. I thought it was sweet. And I like when people are endeared by it. And then some people are like, oh, it should have been nominated for Best Oscar. Just shouldn't have just got animated. Well, no. I agree with everybody when they say that Pixar makes superior animated films. I totally agree with that. I think they have been slipping. Well, I think they've been hit and miss, because I think Toy Story 3 is probably one of their greatest achievements. The fact that they kept that whole trilogy really solid, and hopefully they can continue doing that with 4, but I think they keep pushing the envelope once they keep going there. But, they've had a couple of missteps. Even in big movies that people love, I, again, did not love them as much. I'm talking about WALL-E, and I'm talking about Up. Since I'm talking about Inside Out, I won't take too much time. WALL-E, I think, is a mesmerizing film, and I think once he leaves the planet, I think the movie goes right down the crapper. First of all, I don't like the fact that there's humans introduced when humans are seen on a videotape as us. And then suddenly we go to a cruise ship where the humans are animated. To me, they took me totally out of the film in that. I hate the story of we got to have a political story to make it sci-fi, people are fat now and stuff. It didn't fit in. I like the lonely little robot who meets this other robot that they fall in love. Anyhow. Up again. But overall, I do like WALL-E. Up is another one I enjoyed very much. But the love people have for it. I remember seeing memes like, better love story than Twilight. The first, 3 minutes are better than Twilight. Well, you know what? That's the problem with Up. The first 3 minutes are brilliant. The whole storyline with the old man and the old woman, probably some of the most beautiful animation and storytelling in general I have seen in a movie. But after that, it's just fun, entertaining. It's not brilliant. It's got dodo birds. It's got dogs looking at squirrels, which is cute. But it's not brilliant. And although I did like Up a lot, and I like their storyline about how, respect your elders kind of thing, I just thought it was just, had all this really goofy stuff around it. Anyhow, but Inside Out is, to me, a real problem. Again, I liked it a lot. I think it's on the lower end of the Pixar films for me, and I'm happy that you like it. Some of my problems with the movie, to me, are huge, and I hate that people are embracing it, because to me, this is the kind of movie that Disney puts out, and I think, I know Pixar must use focus groups, because Disney seems to like that, and it works, because obviously the moral majority like these movies. But Inside Out, some of the problems I had with it are, basically, where do I start? Joy is skinny. Sadness is fat. In the little girl's head, all the negative ones, except for disgust, they put that over as a woman because disgust could be kind of funny as well because it's sarcastic. But fear and anger are men. And, we live in a society where we try desperately, like we want to get rid of the gender issues. And, we're looking to do positive female role models as well as positive male role models. And then at this time, just because they're spewing jokes, the fact that the real evil, like fear and anger, which are really negative, are men in this little girl's body, to me says we will never get to this point if we keep embracing movies like this. Oh, I'm going to get a lot of feedback on this. I also find it that they also continue the stereotype because all the people in the mother's head is female and all the people in the men's head are male. They're versions of the same character, but they're all basically have mustaches in the men and that. And in the little girl's head, I don't know if they're trying to be bold by saying, look, I've got men and women, or if eventually they just slowly change. From the way I see Inside Out, I think they eventually changed to the sex that the person is or believes to be. And I think, but the fact that we still go to stereotypes, like men just think about, baseball or hockey or whatever it was in the movie, there's no reason why the emotions couldn't just be androgynous. Why they couldn't just, talk with men, female voices, but they didn't have to wear little dresses or little outfits or ties. They could have just been, completely and I think this would have made the movie even more groundbreaking than it was. And I feel Disney keeps pushing this stereotype, even though they get accolades for the positivity they do. You should really analyze some of the stuff that they do push forward, because the fact that we've embraced Inside Out so much tells me we are further away from getting to gender equality than I thought. I thought we were further along, but when I see people just take this and embrace it, it tells me Disney's reminding us that, yes, we're going forward, but as long as we give you this stuff, we're going to hold you back. But you know what? It's good. It's good, and you won't see that. And that's where I have my big problem. Anyhow, I respect that you like all these movies, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to give my views on movies that the world seems to love and embrace, yet I don't. And trust me, there's a lot of god-awful crap that I embrace that all of you hate. So, let's deal with that on another topic, because I've run out of time. I've loved talking to you. I hope I haven't really upset you. I'm just stating my voice. That's all I can do. This is my show, and I have to be honest with myself sometimes. And that's the way it is. And hopefully you respect that, and I will respect your views too. And I look forward to talking to you very soon.